when you offer to take someone on an exotic trip somewhere, you must plan it out completely. The whole itinerary must be accounted for. So that your guest may have the maximum amount of pleasure from the trip. So we begin in a quiet hotel suite near the airport. Outside Cleveland Municipal Airport. It's always better to be close to the airport in the morning so you don't have to rush and you can get through security quicker. And I want my partner to be rested for the trip so that they can enjoy everything completely. Now, to do this, I had the bags packed. I got up early, had a steward take everything down, and await our arrival in the lobby. I laid out my partner's clothes, and then rustled her awake. She looked wonderful, even in the morning, even with her bad breath and her frumpy hair. And I assured her, get cleaned up. I'll take care of everything. She went off to take a shower. Just as the porter arrived, and I asked the steward, porter, to come in and get the bags. And I handed him some cash. And he left. And by then, the breakfast I had ordered had arrived. It was a simple, small breakfast. The odd parts of it were that I don't drink coffee or tea in the morning. I don't drink coffee at all. So I ordered a Coke, an ice cold Coca-Cola, and coffee for my partner. I call her my partner to keep it vague so that this will apply to so many of you out there. So many of you who ever thought about going on an adventure with Dr. Andrew Michaels can imagine yourself as the person in the room with me. And I understand this may not apply to everyone who watches, but if you want to relate yourself to me instead of my partner, who is obviously female, then allow me to use my skills as a storyteller to teach you the many ways to deserves to be cared for, nurtured, and dare I say, loved. My partner was coming out of the shower when I turned and said, "Breakfast is here. Fresh fruit and yogurt and a little bit of toast." I wanted plain scrambled eggs, and some bacon to share with her. And I looked at her quizzingly, and she said, "You know, something's always bothered me, Dr. Andrew Michaels. So, if you don't mind me asking, where did your code name come from? Tiraradeguello. Where did you get a name like that?" And I told her. As I looked upon her, drying herself off, eyeing up the outfit, the clothes I laid out for her, and seeing a smile stretch across her face, she gave me a sly look, and I knew she approved of my choices. After all, she picked what she wanted to wear for the cruise that was going to come later in our vacation, but I got to pick what she wore for the flight because I had a naughty idea planned. She knew I had many surprises in store for her, and she was hoping I would tell her the truth about my name and why I go by codename Tiraradeguello. And I told her it's really rather simple. About 10 years ago, around 2009, maybe 2010, I forget, I helped a dear friend with a problem. She was a wonderful creature, a beautiful Colombian woman, gorgeous in every way, a true icon of femininity and grace, and a true lady. Her kindness was amazing. And after helping her, she said, "You are Deguello, the destroyer. You are the destroyer. You cut through the problem and took care of it for me, my dear friend. You are the way of the destroyer." I say it in English, but it is the way of the slit throat. Literal translation. And my partner looked at me quizzingly. A Reiki master of relaxation, called himself the way of the slit throat. And I said, no. To me, it was the battle cry that came from Deguello. When she said Tiraradeguello, it reminded me of the battle cry. Deguello meant take no quarter, never surrender, no surrender, take no quarter, take no prisoners. And to me, that felt apropos to my life. Take no prisoners, never surrender. partner's eyes as she dried her hair with her hairdryer and giggled at my silly story. And I said, and if a Colombian woman of grace and dignity and beauty says you are Tiraradeguello, you accept it. You do as you're told. And she said, you like doing as you're told? And I said, yes, I do. But that's a two-way street. So if you expect me to do as I'm told and be a good host to you, then you must be a good guest. And you must do as you're told as well, my dear. And she laughed, and she began to get dressed. And I know this sounds sultry, that she obviously was getting dressed in front of me. But she wanted me to drink her in with my eyes. She wanted me to observe her slipping on her undergarments, trying on everything, making sure it fit. She said there was a funny tag, like the ones they have in the store, on the front of her underwear, but it was too late now. The luggage was gone, so she had to deal with it, and she struggled for a few moments and said, I think it'll be all right. It doesn't bother me too much. It's small, but it's a funny tag. And she cinched up her silky undergarments, fixed her ample breasts within her matching bra, started to slip on her stockings. She wanted to be classy on this trip, a classic lady. She wanted to be seen as a business type, slipping on her knee-length skirt, adjusting it, getting the seams of her stockings straight, getting the seam of her dress lined up perfectly and zipping it to her tight, curvy figure around her waist. She felt good in the tight business skirt. Of course she did. That's why she bought it. She knew she looked good in it. She knew that it set her apart from her normal outfits, to look like a lady of business, of culture, of class. She wanted to carry herself like a lady, and I was all too willing to help her by affording her this wonderful trip. She put on her satin blouse, buttoned it up, and then tried on her jacket. Her wardrobe complete, she sat down on the bed and arched her foot up into the air, admiring her legs and how they looked, and how beautiful she thought she looked in the mirror across the room. She didn't realize I was watching, and I was glad because I got a natural reaction from her. She liked how she looked. She checked her fingernails. The color of her nails matched everything perfectly that she was wearing. She felt good about herself. She slid on her European heels, classic mid-heel pump. They matched her outfit so wonderfully she actually stepped in front of the mirror, turned and pirouetted and admired herself like most women do, making sure everything was in the right place, tucked in, all her curves perfect. There's nothing wrong with a curvy lady. And I tell you that now because she had style, grace, dignity. She knew how to carry herself. She knew how to look good. She walked over to the bathroom, spritzed herself with a musk cologne. A woman that wears musk cologne. How sensual. The pheromones she must be giving off. Her choice of medicines showed that she was a witch doctor at romance, trying to seduce me with the beautiful aromas that were about to await my olfactory system. She finished doing her hair and put the hairdryer back and put her makeup on. Her hair up in a tight, sophisticated, conservative bun. She knew I liked that. She knew I liked it, that she had those dangling earrings that I bought her off of Etsy of all places, not letting me shop for her at a jewelry store. But I caught her looking at Etsy and I tricked her into leaving her laptop open to the page. And I quickly copy-pasted the URL of the earring page and saved it for later in an email. The surprise of seeing her open that package on the way to the hotel last night, seeing the look of excitement as she realized I had the jeweler make a matching necklace to go along with it, and a small inscription on the back of the necklace. I could have stopped right there, and she would have accepted me as her lover and companion. But I told her, we're just getting started. She put on the hoop earrings, the necklace, and tucked the necklace down into her blouse, buttoned it up, looked in the mirror, looked at her makeup, pursed her lips together, thinking her lipstick was not quite right. But there was no time, only enough to pack everything, grab some breakfast, come over and sit down. And it was so funny watching her fidget, necklace in, necklace out. The poker tell on her face, I must talk about it for a moment. Looking at her with her glasses on, so demure, so pretty, so reserved, uncomfortable in her makeup and her tight business suit, looking at me in my three-piece V-cut suit, my paisley tie, my dark sunglasses on my forehead, looking like some gangster out of a 1930s Poverty Row movie. We were quite the pair. Necklace in, necklace out. Do I wear it in? Do I wear it out? She couldn't decide. And I loved her for that. I loved how she had ideas in her mind. Is there time for a cuddle? Is there time for romance? Is there time for a kiss? My lipstick smearing all over his lips. Will he forget and not wipe it off? So I can giggle as we leave the hotel, as he tries to act all debonair and handsome and tough and macho and has bright red lipstick all over his mouth, looking like a silly schoolboy that forgot to wipe his cheek before he left for school. I can see Mommy loves you. She kissed you. Goodbye. You never know who's in control. I think I'm in control, yet she's in control, yet I think I'm in control. It's a game. That's the thing about romance. That's the thing about love making. Is trying to convince your partner that you're in control, but at the same time accepting their commands almost virtually at the same time. The synchronicity of your souls entwining is quite erotic. It's quite stunning to behold. Birds use feathers and dance and shiny rocks to impress their partners, and here I am, new outfit, jewelry, a brand new matching beautiful tie, and the shiny tie clip she bought me, adorning my suit. My hand glancing over the tie clip to see if she notices I wore it. It's a game. It's a courtship ritual. We're no better than the birds that we mock and laugh at, that fly and flutter above us. We're silly creatures, primates that have barely left the trees. Did we study the birds when we were in those trees so far and long ago? Watching their courtship rituals, watching them gather shiny rocks and realizing, if I give her that same shiny rock, maybe she'll show favor to me. Maybe I'll be her choice. We all make choices. She chose to sleep in this morning. She chose to let me lay out her clothes, make that choice for her. And I gave it away, but she didn't notice as I slipped my hand across the table and plucked a small remote control and placed it inside my jacket pocket. Along with my wallet, my glasses case, and our tickets, boarding passes. We finished breakfast and left, our bags awaiting us at the door. I could see the workers at the hotel checking her out as she walked out with me. We made a nice couple. We fit together well. I know they were trying to spy her getting in that taxi with that tight skirt on. Men are dogs. But that's part of the game. She was making me jealous, or at least trying to. She knew I noticed when men noticed her. And it made me so crazy. It made me work harder to please her. Oh yeah. It didn't make me jealous, make a jerk out of me. I never take it out on her. It's not a woman's fault. She's the most beautiful thing on earth. No. Only a cad, only a jerk-off would treat a woman poorly, be a jealous prick. No. I use it as fuel for my fire. I use it as a reason to be inventive, work harder, impress her. Made me crazy. Made me so neurotic. Always out to please her. Again and again. To make sure she knew she was welcome wherever I was at. And I had no problem with her, whether she was wearing frumpy mommy jeans, doing laundry, pulling them up because she forgot to put her belt on, or if she was drop dead gorgeous in her brand new business suit, looking good and sitting beside me, buddy. You can look, but she's getting in the car and she's sitting with me. And we go to the airport and the whole process starts over again. I pay to have the bags sent to the plane. And we go through security. And of course, she's so gorgeous. Who do you think gets stopped and searched with a wand? Of course, a classy businesswoman in a tight, knee-length skirt is hiding something. She was pulled from the line. I think she liked it. Her shoes off and her stocking feet, holding them in her hand, putting them on the belt, while she was instructed to place her feet in painted positions on the floor. Pose for me so I can run this wand all over your body so I can just observe you. And I saw the other guys smirking, those little pricks. She put up with it. She saw him doing it to teenage girls. She saw him doing it to mothers and then the occasional man to make it look unbiased. She just looked off in the distance like, do what you gotta do and be done with it, you little tiny wiener man. And it was so good to see her diss that man at security. I saw her look over at me and wink. She knew I was watching. I told her she was going to get checked. I knew they were going to do it. And in the hustle and bustle, we got through security. And she said, you like that, don't you? You like it when I get pulled out of security, don't you? That's why you bought me all this metal jewelry to wear, so that I would set off every machine on the way into the airport. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I did enjoy watching you and your consternation and your frustration over some other man than me giving you attention, and how you craved the attention from me. I know, and it's all right, because I crave your attention just the same. It just makes me want it more and more. We had a quick drink before we boarded the flight. I knew the martini she held in her hand was really affecting her. She hardly ate before we left. A little bit of fruit, yogurt, some bite of my eggs, and some bacon, and a little nibble of toast. I think she was just nervous, and so was I. It's always a little nerve-wracking when you go on a flight. She said, I hope we don't have any more surprises in front of us. I just want this trip to go uneventful. And I laughed and joked and said, well, if you're expecting me to surprise you with a trip to the laboratory to join the Mile High Club, I must say you look rather ravishing in that outfit. But I'm much, much too tall to fit in that claustrophobic bathroom with you. These little hopper flights from Ohio to Florida, they couldn't stuff us into a smaller plane. An older plane. A stiffer seat. And a tighter place to sit, my knees up against the seat in front of me. Barely any leg room. When we were going to board the flight, the attendant overheard me say about legroom and said, you know, we have a cancellation on a front seat where there's no seats in front of you. Would you like to trade free upgrade so that you can sit with no seat in front of you since you're such a tall gentleman? And I looked at my partner and I said, well, I'm with someone, but if it's all right with her. And she said, no, it's okay. You can sit further up front. I don't mind. It's only 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's a short flight. She said, okay, and she switched my seat. So with our seating arrangements changed, I took my seat, and she took hers. I turned around to look at her, and she looked so gorgeous. Her legs folded, her hands on her legs, on her thighs, right on her skirt. One hand over the other. Perfect. Little lady. I liked it. I liked seeing her looking around, but sadly, she had no one in the seat beside her. These are small flights, but it's only a 2-hour flight, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, she'll be fine. Plus, with nobody sitting beside her, she'll be better off. Just then, a large, obese, round man came on the plane, and I thought, oh no, I spoke too soon. But there's no way. There's no way. Sure enough, even though there was 3 seats in the row, and he was obviously the window seat, her being the aisle. Oh, to sit beside a woman of such a gorgeous look, smelling so good with that beautiful cologne, looking so prim and proper. Of course, he had to squeeze his large, sweaty, fat ass right in beside her and ask for a seatbelt extension. Now she wasn't so happy. I traded seats and I laughed. There was a seat beside me empty. And then the person showed up and took the window seat instead. So there was a seat available. She looked at me and went like that with her hands, hoping I would signal the stewardess. But there's no time. Of course, we're flying. I can't do that now. It's time to buckle in and go. So I just turned around and ignored her, and oh, you should have seen the steam rising from her face. It reminded me of when I tickled her. And she gets so punches and hits so out of character to see the sweet, kind, gentle little lady get so angry and violent over being tickled. It's amazing. It's quite sexy. But I tease that way very little because it makes her so mad. The flight took off on time and on schedule, completely on schedule. And they just started serving the beverage cart. You just get a snack and a drink on a Ohio to Florida trip. She seemed happy with her little cocktail, so that makes 2 drinks she's about to have. First thing in the morning, that's a lot for anyone. I stuck with just a Coke. I wanted to keep my wits about me. I saw her take a sip of the plastic cup that had her mixed cocktail in it. And then I saw her lurch. She lurched again. The heavy-set gentleman beside her, asking if he could have her peanuts, she signaled to him and picked them up off of her tray, her seat tray, and just threw them at him. Something was unsettling her. I wonder what it was. I turned up the remote in my hand again and turned it off. She lurched again and looked at me with consternation. I turned and saw her as I raised the remote up above my head and looked over my shoulder and clicked it again. And then clicked it off to let her know, oh yeah, I'm full of surprises. I am so full of surprises. She realized I put a small vibrating tag in her underwear. I was being a complete prick, playing a prank on her on a packed airplane when she's sitting right beside the greasiest, most unkempt, sweaty man she ever had the courtesy of saying hello to. And I pushed the button again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And again. By this time, ooh, someone was mad at me. But at the same time, she was a little bit worked up. She threw her empty plastic drinking cup at me. It was empty because by the time it got to my head, all the liquid had spilled out onto the floor. The projectile bounced off my head as I clicked again. I turned to see her say, not say, mouth the words, you prick, you prick. And I laughed. I signaled the stewardess as I clicked one more time, this time leaving it on just a little longer, watching her grab the armrests of her seat, watching her start to shudder and get more and more disconcerted. More and more upset. But I caught her smiling. Oh, naughty, naughty. I saw you smile. So the prank is over. You're enjoying the attention, aren't you, you little minx? So the game is up. And her smelly sidekick decided he had scarfed down enough peanuts and booze to sleep the rest of the way, and of course he has to put a pillow on her shoulder and lay against her. You know, this trip is about having fun, not being used as a footstool. And a prank is a prank, and it can go just so far. Just so far. So I asked the stewardess, if my partner could join me in the empty seat beside me. And she said yes. So just leave your carry-on, honey. I'll get it later. She walked up and jacked me in the head very hard with her elbow. I dare say she's stronger than she looks. As she sat down, she accidentally struck me in the cheek with her other elbow. Well, my. Aren't you being a naughty little girl? Getting all physical and everything. Maybe you haven't had enough yet. She says, I think you've had enough. And if you want anything later, you'll lay off that remote. So I laughed and I said, ha, 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 ha. I teased and then said, that's enough. Hey, I know how to stop. I know when a joke's when it's distance, and I put the remote back in my chest pocket. Zipped up my jacket. Held her hand and caressed her arm and said, you know I had to surprise you. Did I get you? Did I get you good? And she laughed and said, oh yeah, you got me. You really are. You really are. You really are. She stopped. She squeezed my hand. Stop it. Will you lay off that thing? And I said, What? She shuddered. She heaved in the seat. Oh my God, what do you have that set on? Stop it. I can't do this right now. It's too much. She actually started to quiver just a little bit. She actually even kicked off one of her shoes, trying to get it back on. She said, will you turn that off? What's wrong with you? Have some decency. My God, we're in public. And I looked and said, I'm not doing anything. What? Whoa. And I looked around. And I saw somebody with another remote, tapping it, trying to get their device to work off of it. This thing must have a low battery. It's just not working right. And they kept pushing the buttons. I've got it on the highest setting. It's just not responding. She said, you better fix this right now or you're in trouble. You're in so much trouble. She was turning red, tensing up. She wouldn't let go of my hand. I couldn't get up. It was like being in forced childbirth. Believe me, I know what that's like. Her nails digging into the palm of my hand. Her other arm tearing the armrest of the seat up. She slammed her head back, and finally the man put... This thing must be dead. Put the remote down. Must be dead. Gasping for air, the stewardess came up and asked, "Miss, are you all right? Are you okay? You're breaking out in a sweat. With our COVID-19 precautions, do you have a fever?" And she produced a temperature gauge, and I go, "Oh, I don't think so, but I think we should check. We should definitely check her temperature." And right around then, I kind of lost a grip on how stupid I really was doing this prank. As she punched me square dead in the mouth. And I said, "Oh, I think she's not feeling well." "Yeah, that's it." And the stewardess took her temperature and said, It's pretty normal. You're all right." And handed her a cloth napkin to dry her brow, help her get her composure. She said I need to use the restroom and got up and left, barely getting her shoe back on as she walked the distance to the bathroom, looking back at me very angrily. And then she winked at me. As the door closed to the bathroom, I know I lost that little gadget. It was going directly down the toilet. I had to laugh. And right then, almost on cue, as everything was beginning to go back to normal, I heard, "Thank you. Maybe it'll work now with those new batteries." There it is. Let me get it on the different setting. I heard a thump. A hard thump on the bathroom door. "You mother." And that's where our story ends. This time. If you'd like to hear more of these adventures with Dr. Andrew Michaels, let me know. Oh, you want to know what happened? Well, you better tune in next time.